गुड मॉर्निंग. गुड मॉर्निंग टू ऑल. आपण अल्डिहाइड्स अँड कीटोन या टॉपिकचं डिस्कशन करतो आहोत. And in the introduction, we have studied what is meant by aldehyde and ketone. Actually, they are carbonyl compounds. And we also studied nomenclature of aldehyde and ketone, both common as well as IUPAC system for the nomenclature of aldehyde and ketone. Then also about the structure of carbonyl group. Means to study the reactivity, we must know about the structure of carbonyl group, and we have studied what is the hybridization of carbonyl carbon, how it forms sigma and pi bond, and what is the geometry as well as bond angle in the carbonyl group. Then we also studied reactivity of carbonyl group, means how that carbonyl group is polar in nature, how it having ionic character, and due to that ionic character, it is highly reactive species. Generally, carbonyl carbon is electron deficient, it having positive charge, therefore nucleophile can easily attack on that carbonyl carbon and it undergoes nucleophilic addition reaction. We have studied that reactivity of carbonyl group in detail. Now we will also discuss some of the factors which are affecting on the reactivity of carbonyl group. There are two factors. One is the steric effect and second is the inductive effect. We have studied what is the role of steric and inductive effect on the reactivity of carbonyl group in detail, and lastly about the general mechanism for the nucleophilic addition of to the carbonyl group, means how actually carbonyl compounds undergo nucleophilic addition reaction. Now let us start some of the important name reactions shown by that carbonyl compound. Let us start with the first one, very simple, well-known reaction आपण बघूया, aldol condensation. Actually, this reaction is shown by those carbonyl compound which having at least one alpha hydrogen atom. Means suppose this is acetaldehyde molecule. Okay, this is carbonyl group, and suppose this first carbon is alpha carbon, this is alpha carbon, it having three alpha hydrogen atoms, means that compound shows aldol condensation. Okay, to show the aldol condensation, that carbonyl compound must have at least one alpha hydrogen atom. For example, acetaldehyde. Okay, now this acetaldehyde, when warm with dilute alkali, suppose it is warm with dilute NaOH. Now what happens here? Here, two molecules of acetaldehyde participate in the reaction. Okay, this is the second molecule of acetaldehyde. Now what happens? How the reaction takes place? Simply we can say that one molecule of acetaldehyde adds to the carbonyl group of second molecule. Here, alpha hydrogen atom of the second molecule, म्हणजे या सेकंड मॉलिक्यूल मधला अल्फा हायड्रोजन ॲटम, वन अल्फा हायड्रोजन ऍड्स टू द ऑक्सिजन. त्याचे ऍडिशन इथं ऑक्सिजनला होते, हायड्रोजन ऍड्स टू ऑक्सिजन, व्हाईल रिमेनिंग पार्ट ऍड्स टू दॅट कार्बन. त्याचे ऍडिशन या कार्बनला होते, दिस कार्बनला. ओके, अँड आफ्टर ऍडिशन वी गेट सच प्रॉडक्ट. ओके, दिस इज द कंपाऊंड. म्हणजे इथला हायड्रोजन ऑक्सिजनला अटॅच झाला, रिमेनिंग पार्ट म्हणजे CH2CHO या कार्बोनिल कार्बनला अटॅच होतं, CH2CHO अटॅच टू कार्बोनिल कार्बन. त्यानंतर इथं असणारा जो हायड्रोजन आहे, ओके, दिस इज द हायड्रोजन ऑन द कार्बन अँड वी गेट द करस्पॉन्डिंग प्रॉडक्ट. दिस कंपाऊंड, दॅट प्रॉडक्ट ऑल्सो हॅव्हिंग अल्डिहाइड ग्रुप अँड देर इज अ OH ग्रुप ॲट बीटा पोझिशन. या अल्डिहाइड ग्रुप पासून फर्स्ट कार्बन इज द अल्फा कार्बन, second carbon is the beta carbon, and here beta carbon having OH group. Therefore, such compounds are commonly called as beta hydroxyaldehyde, and thus aldehyde which having alpha hydrogen atom when warm with dilute alkali undergoes self condensation. This is self condensation, means two molecules of same molecule undergo condensation to form beta hydroxyaldehyde. And this beta hydroxyaldehyde is also called as aldol. It is also known as aldol. Aldol means what is? It having two functional group. One is the aldehyde and second is the alcohol. And therefore, it is also known as aldol, and that reaction is called aldol condensation. This is very simple reaction. Now, this particular compound having 4 carbon atoms in the chain, and therefore it is butyraldehyde. there are 4 carbon atoms in the chain, hence it is butyraldehyde, and there is a OH group at beta position, hence we can say that it is beta hydroxy butyraldehyde, किंवा याला आपण commonly aldol असं म्हणतो. ALD for aldehyde and OL for alcohol, it having 2 functional group, hydroxy group that is alcohol as well as aldehyde, hence it is called aldol. Actually this is the aldol condensation, but suppose that beta hydroxy aldehyde is further heated, it undergo dehydration. त्याचं डिहायड्रेशन होतं, म्हणजे तयार झालेला जो अल्डोल आहे, सपोज इट इज ऑन फर्दर हीटिंग, under it loses water molecule, undergo dehydration. How actually dehydration occurs? Here OH from one carbon and hydrogen from adjacent carbon is removed as a water molecule. या पद्धतीनं H2O बाहेर पडतो. या 2 कार्बनच्या मध्ये double bond appears in between that 2 carbon and we get the unsaturated compound, and we get the compound. Okay, this is the product form, and there is a double bond between that 2 carbon, and this is nothing but the alpha beta. This is alpha beta unsaturated aldehyde. Name of particular compound is the crotonaldehyde, and it is commonly called as the alpha beta unsaturated aldehyde. Okay, actually this is extension. First step is the main reaction. When aldehyde having alpha hydrogen atom warm with dilute alkali undergo self-condensation and we get beta hydroxy aldehyde, and this is nothing but the aldol condensation. आणि इथं जो प्रोडक्ट तयार होतो बीटा हायड्रॉक्सी अल्डिहाइड, त्याचं पुन्हा फक्त एक्सटेन्शन दाखवलेलं आहे. इट ऑन फर्दर हिटिंग loses water molecule and there is a formation of alpha beta unsaturated aldehyde. This is nothing but the crotonaldehyde. Now let us see one more example. Consider the example of ketone, acetone, CS3 C double bond OCS3. Okay, this is acetone. When acetone is warm with dilute alkali, here also that acetone molecule undergo self-condensation, means 2 molecules of acetone participate in the reaction. But reaction कशी होते? Here also 1 molecule of acetone, 1 molecule of acetone. Suppose this 1 molecule of acetone adds to the कार्बोनिल ग्रुप ऑफ सेकंड मॉलिक्यूल. सेकंडच्या कार्बोनिल ग्रुपला ऍडिशन होते, म्हणजे इथला एक हायड्रोजन ऍटम, दॅट हायड्रोजन ऍड्स टू द ऑक्सिजन, while remaining part it adds to the that carbonyl carbon. We get the compound, we get the beta hydroxy ketone, and thus this reaction is also shown by ketones which having alpha hydrogen atom. But what should be the particular name of compound? Here this is pentanone, because it having 5 carbons in the chain, hence it is pentanone. Here to indicate the position of carbonyl group, we can number from this end 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Okay, then there is one hydroxy group. Its number is 4 hydroxy. There is also methyl group 4 methyl, and hence name of the compound is a 4 hydroxy 4 methyl 2 pentanone, and thus acetone on reaction with dilute alkali undergo self condensation, undergo aldol condensation, and we get the 4 hydroxy 4 methyl 2 pentanone. Okay, now let us see some more examples. Let us see example of crossed aldol condensation. Now what is meant by crossed aldol condensation? Suppose we are using different carbonyl compound, then it is called crossed aldol condensation. Okay, let us see example. Suppose this is acetone molecule, suppose another is the acetaldehyde molecule, and suppose acetone and acetaldehyde, it is collectively warm with dilute alkali. What should be the product? Now here there are so many possibilities. In first possibility, 2 molecules of acetaldehyde may they undergo condensation. We get the beta hydroxy aldehyde, that is aldol. This is the first possibility. Second possibility कोणती आहे? Acetone चे 2 molecule या ठिकाणी कंडेन्स होऊ शकतात. Suppose this is the first molecule of acetone, second molecule of acetone, and we get the 4 hydroxy 4 methyl 3 pentanone. Okay, this is the second possibility. Now let us see next possibility. Here in the next possibility, 1 molecule of aldehyde can be combined with molecule of acetone, and we get the corresponding beta hydroxy aldehyde. Okay, this is just about the crossed aldol condensation. Manje, if we are using different types of the carbonyl compound, then there are different possibilities, and that reaction is called crossed aldol condensation. Okay, let us see next. Again one more example. यामध्ये आणखीन एक example मी घेतो. Suppose there is a benzaldehyde. Suppose there is a benzaldehyde when heated with acetaldehyde in presence of dilute NaOH. Now here also different possibilities. First possibility कोणती असेल, one molecule of benzaldehyde combined with the second molecule of acetaldehyde. मग इथं काय होतं, that acetaldehyde molecule adds across the C double bond O group. या C double bond O group ला addition होते and we get the corresponding beta hydroxyaldehyde. We get corresponding aldol. Okay, this is the first possibility. Second, acetaldehyde जो आहे त्याचे दोन molecules combine होतात and we get the corresponding aldol. These are the two possibilities. यामध्ये आता थर्ड पॉसिबिलिटी कोणती असेल, टू molecules of benzaldehyde. पण आता या ठिकाणी एक गोष्ट लक्षात ठेवा, benzaldehyde do not undergo self aldol condensation with its own molecule because benzaldehyde do not having alpha hydrogen atom. And therefore, two molecules of benzaldehyde do not undergo aldol condensation. Now let us see mechanism of this reaction. Actually, how the reaction takes place. What are the steps involved in the reaction? Actually, which intermediates are formed during the reaction? त्यामध्ये कोणते intermediates तयार होतात? How the new bonds are formed? हे आपण mechanism मध्ये स्टडी करतोय. Let us see simple example. Okay, CH3CHO. This is acetaldehyde molecule. First step मध्ये काय होतं बघा. We are using alkali. We are using alkali NaOH or KOH. What happens here? That alkali, that is OH minus, it takes that one alpha hydrogen atom from the acetaldehyde molecule. That OH minus and hydrogen form H2O, and here this bond undergo breaking and this electron pair म्हणजे कार्बन आणि हायड्रोजनच्या मधला bond break होतो and this electron pair goes on the carbon and that carbon acquires negative charge. Okay, this carbon acquires negative charge and we get the intermediate. Here there is negative charge on the carbon and such species is called carbanion. Thus in first step there is the formation of carbanion intermediate. Now let us see second step. Now this carbanion intermediate having negative charge means it acts as a nucleophile. If any species having negative charge, it is called nucleophile. And therefore this nucleophile, this carbanion easily attack on the another molecule of aldehyde and it undergoes nucleophilic addition. This electron pair form a bond between that two carbon. या दोन्हीच्या मध्ये नवीन बॉन्डचं फॉर्मेशन होतं. मग इथं नवीन बॉन्ड फॉर्म होत असेल, व्हॉट्स अबाउट द व्हॅलन्सी ऑफ कार्बन? या सेंट्रल कार्बनची व्हॅलन्सी काय होईल? डिस्टर्ब होईल. टू मेंटेन द व्हॅलन्सी दॅट पाय बॉन्ड अंडरगो ब्रेकिंग. या कार्बन आणि ऑक्सिजनच्या मधला पाय बॉन्ड ब्रेक होतो अँड दिस इलेक्ट्रॉन पेअर गोज टुवर्ड्स ऑक्सिजन. ती ऑक्सिजन कडे जाते. इट अक्वायर निगेटिव्ह चार्ज. Okay, this is the alkoxide intermediate. Thus, in second step, we are having alkoxide intermediate. Okay, now in the third step, what happens? That alkoxide intermediate takes one proton from the water molecule आणि त्याचं कन्व्हर्जन होतं हायड्रॉक्सी ग्रुप मध्ये. And this is nothing but the beta hydroxyaldehyde. Name of particular compound is the beta hydroxybutyraldehyde. Okay, this is just a mechanism of aldol condensation. We are just discussing about the very important reaction. त्याचा मेकॅनिझम आपण स्टडी केलेला आहे. ऍक्च्युअली हाऊ द रिएक्शन ऑकर्स. यामध्ये कार्बॅनियनचं फॉर्मेशन फर्स्ट स्टेप मध्ये होतं. सेकंड स्टेप मध्ये कार्बॅनियन पुन्हा दुसऱ्या मॉलिक्युलवर अटॅक करतो. वी गेट द अल्कोऑक्साइड. आणि थर्ड स्टेप मध्ये अल्कोऑक्साइड टेक्स वन प्रोटॉन फ्रॉम द वॉटर मॉलिक्युल अँड वी गेट द एक्सपेक्टेड प्रोडक्ट दॅट इज बीटा हायड्रॉक्सीअल्डिहाइड. ओके, दिस इज अबाउट द फर्स्ट well-known reaction called as aldol condensation.